Episode Channel 86 Breaking News Expose on the GTeam Escaping the Caribbean and the FBI Arresting Catherine, and the continuing adventures to Prague for the Hammer of Destruction and the Anvil of Creation. A dramatic, fiery logo flashes, declaring Channel 86 Worldwide Breaking News Special Edition. The view shifts to an attractive blonde woman sporting a form-fitting red TV broadcast professional news anchor mini dress uniform. Her generous makeup matches her high newscaster ratings. The woman speaks through her well-manicured self and dentist-perfect smile. Hi, I'm Saline White. It's great to have you on our show today. The camera cuts to a handsome, chisel-jawed, young, dark-haired man. He speaks. And I'm Randy Rudolph, your ever-clever and dapper co-host. And this is Breaking News with Channel 86 Special Edition. Channel 86 is the home to all things that matter to you and to everyone else. Randy pauses and looks into the camera with a grave expression and cautions. Before we proceed, I must warn our viewing audience that this episode and its topics include violent and gory content that may be offensive or unsuitable for some audiences. Please view responsibly. Randy looks grim as he concludes his scary content legal disclaimer. Randy resumes the broadcast. Today, we have new information on our ongoing coverage of the international fugitive and terrorist leader, the notorious Rick Liberty. And we have new insight on his extremist terrorist group known as the GTeam. These right-wing Christian zealots have no apparent moral or ethical boundaries. They proclaim they are God's team, serving a greater purpose. And they declare that they are on their very own and special mission quest for God. The camera shifts focus back to Saline White. Randy, it is incredible to imagine that in this day and age, such dangerous terrorists can remain fugitives at large, seemingly getting away with anything they decide to do, and with unchecked power and seemingly unlimited, immense wealth. And amazingly, they face no consequences for anything, anywhere it seems that they do. It is incredible, Randy, to see so much run amok, and to see so much violence, carnage, chaos, and death. Oh, Randy, there's been so much destruction, all inflicted by this Rick Liberty for his insane mission for God. Oh, Randy, there has been so much death and destruction and devastation done by his GTeam extremist, right-wing Christian terrorist group. They are as crazy as they are deadly. They must be stopped, Randy. Saline White shifts in place as she changes focus. Randy, I have to say how further amazing it is to learn that Rick Liberty and the GTeam eluded the FBI and Interpol, and to further learn that they managed to escape from New York. Unbelievably, somehow they even managed to get undetected all the way to St. Lucia in the Caribbean from New York. But things were not just fun and games for the GTeam. They brought trouble to Paradise with them. They effectively raided and stole Paradise from the people of St. Lucia in the Caribbean. Saline White takes a long, Dramatic pause. And continues. She speaks. It is alarming to consider that the GTeam appears to have James Bond level technology, tools, and toys. They even have some amazing stealth technologies and tactics for their airplane. They have technologies that make them invisible to electronic surveillance and detection. The GTeam has proven to be remarkably very stealthy indeed. It is a marvel how they can elude so much. They elude Interpol's long arm of the law and evade its far-seeing eyes, and how they can evade and elude our very own FBI. It is astonishing that this terrorist band of fugitives appeared out of nowhere, and it is terrifying how incredibly powerful and lethal they have proven to be, and how they have global access and reach with untraceable transportation and unlimited wealth. It's terrifying. After a pause, Saline smiles a feigned, fake, disingenuous canned smile. As you know, here at Channel 86, we bring the experts and the whistleblowers. And so today, we have two returning expert guests on the show. We have Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI Special Agent Jose Ramirez. And we have world-renowned psychiatrist and neurologist for the criminally insane, Dr. Caselli, who directs the nation's top re-education center and therapy prison. Saline turns and gestures in the air for the camera to transition and cut to FBI Agent Ramirez. Ramirez was a middle-aged, frumpy white man with overgrown, unkempt hair. He wore a grim, judgmental expression as a tell to his gruff demeanor. Saline spoke. Agent Ramirez, would you please share with our viewing audience the shocking actions and recent escapades of Rick Liberty and the international fugitive GTeam? And can you please share what we know since their violence in New York, all happening right here under the nose of law enforcement? Please share. FBI Agent Ramirez answered promptly. Thanks, Saline. It's great to be back on your show. I think there are a few things that people should know. Number one, first, right off, let me remind everyone who the GTeam really is. The GTeam is a terrorist group with reach across the globe. It is a ruthless, intolerant, far-right Christian extremist terrorist cell that decrees it is God's team, showing themselves as the zealots that they really are. And of course, as noted before, they justify everything because they are on a mission for God. Come on. Agent Ramirez paused to emphasize his next point. And two, although our intel was late in coming about the GTeam in the Caribbean, we now have a lot of intel on their dark deeds, from surveillance cameras showing their illicit activities. We have photos and videos from tourists and from tour guides as part of their vacation service. And everyone posted, a lot of them on the web and on social media. Oh, the videos and the photos, they tell tragic, troubling tales, where the GTeam plays and frolics as if they were everyday people on vacation, as if they were not international fugitive terrorists. And of course, alongside their vacation time play, where they had a good time while laying low and hiding out, they brought big trouble into paradise. as they seem to always do. Yeah, they killed Paradise, making the island of St. Lucia in the Caribbean into Paradise Lost. Well, I'll cover the particulars of their ill activities as we proceed. Agent Ramirez looked irritated, and he declared, "Before we get going into the details, let me say some more. It is absurd to think how the GTeam can be so destructive just days earlier, where they destroyed buildings and property, and their destruction was astronomical in the loss of lives, property, technology, and research. There were so many innocent people killed. Just think, all of this was done to foster fear and terror in good, hardworking people. And the GTeam murdered law enforcement as well, without any sign of remorse. And wherever they go, they leave trails of suffering, death, destruction all behind. As discussed in our prior interview, their destruction of buildings was vast. They exploded facilities, and in doing so incinerated everyone within. The GTeam's horrific disregard for life and property is horrifying and unreal. It is incomprehensible that they engage in mass shootings, death, and major destruction, and then just days later, they're jet skiing around in the water like nothing ever happened. They just play, laugh, they're silly and goof off, while others are dead with their families left without them forevermore. I am saddened to say, Rick Liberty and the GTeam have proven their intentions. They are clearly operating without remorse or fear of any consequences. I am completely disgusted by these GTeam miscreant scumbag terrorists. We will catch them, and we will put them away forever. We will catch them if they don't get themselves killed first. We will get them." FBI Agent Ramirez looked decidedly distressed as he resumed uncomfortably. "Okay, let me share some details about the GTeam since they fled New York. Like I said earlier, we ascertained their surprising location was in the Caribbean, where they mixed pleasure with violence, as they do, everywhere they go. Like I said, we have seen the GTeam play in the water on jet skis, zipping around, carefree, laughing and playing, enjoying their lives, as if they had not so recently, remorselessly murdered so many people. They were seen snorkeling, concern-free. They swam around like everyday tourists. They were even recorded on diving tours, exploring, playing in the reefs and shipwrecks. And they went on ATV adventure tours, spanning remote and populous areas. And they brazenly, in plain view, went on dune buggy excursion drives, where they drove in urban and in rural areas, disrupting local citizens and business as they did. Ultimately, they drove to a remote beach, where tour guides witnessed and recorded the GTeam's destructive, destroying natural habitat behavior as they drove in dangerous, driving, stupid, insane maneuvers. And the GTeam, they did so much more. They went on a parasailing tour in a popular tourist harbor. And of course, they flaunted high in the air their disregard for being hunted fugitives. The GTeam's conceit and hubris that they are untouchable is in plain view, so high in the sky. Agent Ramirez looked a bit impatient, and he said, "Let's jump ahead to their final excursion, which was a Segway tour, where they traveled to a remote clearing, where they stopped in view of St. Lucia's famous tourist attraction, its long dormant volcanic pitons, and where they unbelievably wasted no time and promptly mugged their fellow tourists. They even mugged the tour guides. They are relentlessly violent and ruthless." Agent Ramirez looked especially serious and then sighed. "We further learned that the GTeam initially, without apparent motive or purpose, senselessly broke into wealthy homes, where they stole valuables and vandalized property. At first, we imagined that the GTeam's actions were joyriding, inflicting chaos wherever they went, but we were wrong." FBI Agent Ramirez took a deep breath and exhaled, as if sighing to expel the bad news air from his lungs. "Well, the GTeam's seemingly unrelated random acts were actually part of a proving ground, a kind of test, for the GTeam to prove its commitment and its ability to the criminal underground in the Caribbean and the West Indies. It seems the GTeam was demonstrating their value to a crime lord kingpin who controls a major Caribbean and West Indies criminal syndicate. The GTeam was proving their value to forge an alliance with infamous crime lord kingpin Silver Seaborn." FBI Agent Ramirez concluded, "The bottom line is this. Rick Liberty and his GTeam terror group performed a series of criminal activities to prove their capability and trustworthiness to the crime lord Silver Seaborn, all to secure an allegiance and partnership with him, thereby expanding their terrorist network and reach." A surprised expression, if his demeanor ever was really surprised, Agent Ramirez exclaimed, "No one saw this coming. So you may recall Rick Liberty's real name on his birth certificate, his legal name, is actually Richard Seaborn. And note the name of crime lord kingpin Silver is Silver Seaborn. Well, with a lot of digging and research, we uncovered a trail of fake identities used by Silver Seaborn, which ultimately shockingly proved that Silver Seaborn is actually Richard Seaborn, Rick Liberty's biological father. So yeah, Rick is the son of none other than crime lord kingpin Silver Seaborn." Seemingly more uncomfortable yet, FBI Agent Ramirez continued, "Well, let's talk about what happened after their Segway tour. Things went much darker after their Segway mugging. Rick and the GTeam, they went feral right there on the beach, with tourists and locals witnessing it all and recording on their cell phones the GTeam's extreme violence. Their videos showed the GTeam beat and subdued 2 security guards from a private security firm called Sterling Services Bodyguards. They pounded and they beat those guards, and they threatened them at knife point. Ultimately, they kidnapped the 2 men, threatening them at gunpoint. And of course, they stole the Sterling Services Bodyguards' equipment. They even stole their company electric Jeep. The GTeam was on a rampage." FBI Agent Ramirez gravely continued, Tragedy had yet to drop its full weight on those poor security guards, as they were murdered, found dead. One body was left in foliage for locals to find, and the other corpse was left in the open on a rural street for everyone to see. And yet another third corpse, origin unknown, was found, left in the water. It was all a clear, lethal warning message to anyone daring to cross Rick Liberty or the GTeam. Cross them and die. Agent Ramirez shrugged as he continued his tale of Caribbean woe. Oh, the GTeam's tragedy-filled vacation impossibly got worse as they continued to prove themselves to the crime lord Silver Seaborn. The GTeam entered the home of a local community leader and do-gooder, a homeopathic doctor, a woman named Katrina Vex. The GTeam amplified their home invasion nightmare by building a voodoo sacrificial altar in Katrina's pantry that adjoined her dining room. And terrifyingly, they made her dining room into a Thanksgiving banquet of horrors, with many sacrificed animals, blood, bones, skulls, and voodoo artifacts everywhere. And after making Katrina witness such horror, they dragged her outside in her front yard in plain view of anyone nearby, and they murdered her in public view. They spread out a white tapestry cloth, and they encircled it with salt in a wicked, dark ritual. And they left Katrina for passersby to see her suffer and eventually be dead. And therefore everyone would fear the GTeam and the crime lord Silver Seaborn. Federal Bureau of Investigation FBI Agent Ramirez declared, "Our intel has since confirmed that having proven themselves very capable and clearly committed, the kingpin crime lord Silver Seaborn has shockingly joined the GTeam as they left the island in their airplane. We can only now wonder what evil plans Rick Liberty and Kingpin Silver Seaborn have together now." Agent Ramirez shifted topics once again. On a unrelated topic, we have been in parallel investigating Rick Liberty's daughter, Amanda Seaborn, who was attending St. George University in Grenada, coincidentally also here in the Caribbean. Well, she up and vanished mid-investigation, gone in the mist. Agent Ramirez noted, however, video surveillance showed Amanda's airport arrival here in St. Lucia on the very day the GTeam fled the island, where she likely informed Rick of our presence here in the Caribbean. Being informed, the GTeam, his daughter, and the crime lord Silver all escaped together before we could intercept and capture them. It is our firm belief that Amanda tipped off her father and the GTeam, thereby letting them get away, as they say, in the nick of time. Agent Ramirez doubled down and emphasized, well, we now have an international task force that is dedicated to capturing or neutralizing, if need be, Rick Liberty and the terrorist group, the GTeam. We will get them next time. You can bank on it. We're on them. They're not getting away. FBI Agent Ramirez, looking further agitated, explained, Amanda is married to a man named Tashar. And well, Tashar did not vanish with Amanda. He stayed behind in Grenada and packed and shipped their belongings to their home back in the States. Remarkably, though, right before we could interview this Tushar, he too vanished. We now have added this Tushar to the Interpol and FBI's International Terrorist Watch List. He's not getting away. And we have added Tushar to the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency's new tracking AI system called Broadside's Big Brother. So we have global authority to track, to find, and to apprehend. And Broadside's AI will let us know where and whenever Tushar writes a text or even makes a phone call. And Broadside's AI will know whenever he posts or shares anything on the web or social media. And more importantly of all, it will inform us whenever Tushar is seen in public or is in view of most any camera or even within range of a microphone anywhere. Of course, whenever Tushar uses any connected device, especially one transmitting geolocation information, we'll get him. Broadside's AI will know whenever Tushar is near anyone with a smartphone. It will listen for and identify Tushar's voice. Broadside's Big Brother can identify Tushar's identity from any voice captured or message left on a phone or answering service. We're gonna get him. Agent Ramirez continued. We now operate under the assumption that Amanda and Tushar are members now of the GTeam terrorist cell, all under the command of Rick Liberty. Agent Ramirez emphasized, we will get Tushar and Amanda along with the GTeam and with Rick Liberty. We will get them all. FBI Agent Ramirez suddenly looked a little apologetic as he spoke. It's not ideal, but we have detained and arrested Rick's wife, Catherine Seaborn. We have Catherine jailed in an Interpol holding center in London, England. Catherine had been working on a temporary assignment for many months in the UK for her company, all while Rick has been running amok, sowing destruction and chaos and killing people. Agent Ramirez sighed again. Well, unfortunately, Catherine has proven reluctant to cooperate or collaborate at all with us or with Interpol. And so we have requested formal extradition of Catherine from the United Kingdom to transfer her from the Interpol holding center to the United States, where she can be prosecuted as an accomplice to terrorism, if not charged as an international terrorist herself. The camera focuses back on chisel-jawed Randy Rudolph. Hey, that was a lot of information, Agent Ramirez. I'd like us to hear from criminal psychiatrist and neurologist, Dr. Caselli. Doctor? The camera focuses on a well-kempt and manicured middle-aged black man who dons a dark ash-colored suit with wide-rimmed glasses. He speaks. Thank you, Miss Saline. I appreciate your having me once again on your show. Dr. Caselli's expression turned serious and dark as he began to speak. I have made it my greatest duty and priority to find and put an end to Rick Liberty's madness and to stop his consequential wake of destruction. Dr. Caselli continued. I personally joined FBI Agent Ramirez in St. Lucia, in the Caribbean, to investigate Rick Liberty and the GTeam's activities there. I wanted to see firsthand all the trouble in paradise caused by Rick's insanity. I made sure to visit every location that Rick and any member of the GTeam visited. I collaborated with local law enforcement, our FBI, and with the Interpol agents to locate Rick and the GTeam. Unfortunately, we were ultimately unsuccessful at finding and stopping Rick Liberty and his GTeam terrorist cell. Dr. Caselli continued, I am not surprised. Once Rick and their team were aware of our presence, that they could escape the Caribbean undetected. You may recall, the GTeam has an RV in the sky, in their dual-prop cargo airplane. It has advanced stealth technologies as well built into it. Rick explained during his therapy sessions with me that the plane has high-tech decoys that can confuse and misdirect even missiles and targeting systems, that it has some kind of interior Faraday cage that blocks electronic surveillance and jamming. It is insane, the tech he claimed to have. Dr. Caselli concluded, the GTeam, once aware of a threat, they can vanish in a blink of an eye and become ghosts in the wind, gone, nowhere to be seen. Unfortunately, this time they learned of our presence, and they escaped before we ever even saw them in person. Rick and the GTeam really are ghosts in the wind, somewhere in the world. Dr. Caselli continued, and he added, it is no coincidence that Rick found and allied with his father, and it is no coincidence that Rick's father has proven to be an international felon and criminal mastermind, kingpin. And further, it is no coincidence that Rick and his father both appear to believe deeply in supernatural forces. I saw at the crime lord kingpin Silver Seaborn's estate that he had Polynesian statues lining the roadsides to his home, and they surrounded his estate, his driveway roundabout, everywhere. There were also voodoo and black magic artifacts and crazy things and dolls everywhere. It was insane. Dr. Caselli concluded, Rick and his father share a psychotic fantasy world of dark magic, demons, divine forces, it seems. All of their insanity, their voodoo, black magic, dark wizardry crazy, their angels, heaven, relics, and artifacts of divinity, his ideas of hell, demons, cults, and horrors. It's all crazy stories of his prophecies and insanity madnesses. It simply at the end to anyone else is all complete and utter nonsense. Dr. Caselli looked almost condescending and continued, Rick has consistently rationalized his violence and destruction through a self-justifying confirmation bias loop, where Rick first decides that he intends to take action on something. He then declares that he is justified to take this action because the action is righteous, and therefore Rick is likewise righteous in acting upon it, which thereby justifies his doing what he wanted to do in the first place, regardless of consequences. Rick uses this saving humanity, his righteousness bunk, over and over again, all to justify his violence, his chaos and mayhem. Rick then decrees, if he was mistaken, if he was wrong, about the actions that he has already taken, that he need only seek forgiveness from God and seek forgiveness from Jesus Christ. And in merely asking, Rick will be forgiven, no matter how horrific or grievous the death and destruction he or the GTeam has inflicted on innocent people. To make things more alarming, Rick has further decreed that there is no hell for the righteous. This is Rick's ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card, as he believes God will save him from hell. Because Rick's carnage and destruction, he would believe, are righteous and are in the name of God, as decreed by Rick. Rick does all of this under what he calls God's mission quest. And when it is all said and done, Rick just loops back to the beginning and does it all over again. Rick simply decides what he wants to do. And then he justifies it, of course, as being righteous. He then seeks forgiveness when things go badly. And he does it all over again and again, relentlessly, in a never-ending cycle of terrorism and destruction. Dr. Caselli surprisingly paused and then grimaced. It would be almost funny if Rick were simply behaving like a blues brother on a mission for God. Or if his delusions were limited to fantasies of being a comic book superhero, as a divine, God-blessed superhero looking down onto the people that he seeks to protect. And as a superhero defending and evangelizing the very world and all the evil that he sees as the Word of God. But no, none of this is true. This is not funny at all. This is no cosplay experience. Rick's insanity manifests in very real violence, very real death, and very real devastation wherever he goes. Dr. Caselli added even more. Rick once compared himself in therapy to a thermometer that measures humanity's spiritual health. Rick claimed that as he saw people fall from goodness and righteousness, that heaven would likewise share his vision and his judgment, and his metaphorical thermometer of spiritual health and judgment would burn hotter and ever hotter as people sinned, and would eventually completely, totally boil over, which would trigger the apocalypse, the very ending of the world and the fabric of reality as we know it. Insane nonsense. Dr. Caselli took another pause and then began to summarize. Rick's conceit, arrogance, delusions, and sociopathy are all on full display, with his operating under the equivalent modus operandi of a serial killer's sociopathic, twisted code that justifies Rick's murder, destruction, and mayhem. Again, it is all utter nonsense. Dr. Caselli added, I fear that Rick and his GTeam are extremely deadly, and they will continue to strike and cause mass death and destruction, devastation. Rick and his team have all proven themselves to be highly vulnerable to conspiracy theories and to be highly susceptible to Christian faith-oriented fantasies. I am not sure that Rick or his G-Team can be saved. Dr. Caselli, with sudden fury and unexpected emotion, decreed, Rick and the G-Team must be stopped. At this point, given the death and destruction left behind, in the wake of Rick Liberty and his G-Team, I can only conclude, and even recommend, that given the opportunity, Rick Liberty and the G-Team need to be removed to stop their terrorism rampage. Rick and the G-Team need to be ended. I believe a lethal conclusion to Rick Liberty and the G-Team may be the only viable solution. Dr. Caselli said in an almost hysterical outcry, very much out of character, Rick Liberty and the G-Team must die. The camera shifts back to Saline White. Oh my, Doctor, that is terrifying and extremely worrisome. I wish you and FBI Agent Ramirez the best of luck in finding and stopping Rick Liberty and his terrorist group, the G-Team. And as before, remember, our viewing audience, if you know where in the world is Rick Liberty or his G-Team, or if you see or know anything about them, contact Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI Agent Ramirez. His details are on our website at searocks.com. Remember, that's SEA-ROCKS.com. C-O-M. Saline closed with, thank you all again for joining us on our show, Channel 86 Breaking News Special Edition. We'll be having more Rick Liberty and G-Team coverage in future broadcasts from Channel 86. We look forward to seeing you next time. Ta-ta and ciao. Saline signing off. And remember, watch out for Rick Liberty and the G-Team.